Hello there, Sally Potter, solution-focused hypnotherapist and therapist, helping people with anxiety and stress. The last couple of days I've been thinking about recipes and patterns, and this has been prompted by a couple of things. The first was watching a video which actually Tiffy had made about her children writing a recipe or plan for making sandwiches, and then their dad actually trying to make the sandwich from the plan that they had made. And it just showed how careful you have to be when you're writing instructions, especially if you're writing instructions for somebody who is either really doesn't know or who is pretending to completely not know how to make a sandwich. And it took each of them 3 attempts to come up with a plan, which meant that the sandwich actually looked like what we know as a sandwich at the end of it. And then later this week, I had a delivery from a neighbour because I've agreed to make a set of scrubs for our local care home. Now, I'm not exactly sure why I agreed to do it, because I haven't used my sewing machine for a very long time, maybe at least a decade or more, and I certainly haven't made any clothes using my sewing machine for even longer than that, maybe 20, 25 years. So when I took the fabric and the pattern out of the bag, I realised that actually perhaps I was in a little bit over my head. And I was looking at the pattern and not even really knowing where to start. And I turned the pages hoping for some pictures of what this outfit might look like when I had completed it, but there aren't any. So I'm having to follow the pattern very carefully, step by tiny step. And in fact, last night, even to be able to complete the first step, I ended up having to FaceTime somebody and ask for some help, because I've only got one set of fabric, I've only got one lot of thread, and if I get it wrong, there isn't an opportunity to try again. I've got to get it right with this one pattern. And that set me thinking about the way that relates to the things that we do with our lives, and how we get used to following a pattern or a recipe that really works for us. And if things are going really well, then that means that we're following our recipe or our pattern in the way that we know, and that helps us to make our lives just work in a really good way most of the time. And if we deviate from that pattern, then that can be what sometimes sets things a little bit off kilter. When things are going really well, then we are able to go off the pattern or off the recipe and still end up with something that looks fine. And in actual fact, that can provide a bit of excitement, a bit of change, a bit of challenge for us, and that's all good. But at times when actually things are a little bit more challenging, a little bit tougher, and we're actually uncertain about how things are going to look, then following the pattern in a really precise and concise way can be helpful to make us feel that we're in control of everything. And so at this time of real uncertainty, when we don't know what the end result is going to look like, and I think we'll all agree that for most of us that is the case, it's important that we are able to follow a pattern which is going to just keep on leading us in a direction which is the right one for us. So doing those things which make us feel in control of our lives and make us feel able to manage and cope. And in solution-focused hypnotherapy, the things which create that recipe really go along the lines of what we call the 4 Ps. So we have positive thought, positive action, positive interaction, and then sleep. And if you think about your own life now and how those things might have changed over the last few weeks, you might be able to recognise areas where you could try to make those things a little bit better, to fit better with your usual recipe, so that you feel like you're more in charge of things. So positive thinking doesn't have to mean that you're constantly going about feeling completely chipper and jolly all the time, because actually that might be a little bit dull for other people. But it does mean that you have the possibility of choosing the way that you think, so that you look at things with a glass half full mentality rather than a glass half empty, if that makes sense. We can explore that a little bit more, and that's certainly something that when I'm working with my clients one-to-one, that we definitely have a look at. And then there's positive action. So positive action means just doing all of the things which make you feel good about yourself and about your world. So whether that's just doing something that you enjoy, whether that's making sure you get enough rest, whether that's doing your work really well and feeling satisfied about that, all of those kind of things come under the umbrella of positive action. And then there's positive interaction, and that means having those relationships and conversations with people that make you feel supported and feel good about yourself, rather than the opposite. And perhaps whilst you're in lockdown, you're noticing that your relationships are different than they were before. I hope that they're still good, but maybe there's a little bit of thought to be had about the way that you manage those relationships, and whether there's anything that you can do to make sure that they continue to be supportive and nurturing. And then there's sleep, and sleep's a whole nother subject on its own, so I'm not going to go into that really now, but sleep also includes getting the right kind of rest, making sure that you take time out and just give your brain and your body time to just settle down and create that space which is allowing you to just have all of those other things together, really. And when all of those 4 P's come together, positive thought, positive action, positive interaction and sleep, then your recipe is complete and you can kind of move forward. And it might be that you deviate from the pattern or the recipe, or even that you're not quite sure what the thing is going to look like at the end. But when you've got those 4 ingredients in place, then you know that you're heading in the right direction. So I hope that made a bit of sense this morning. And if you would like to just relax a little bit, then I think and I hope, and if they're not, then I'll put it up there. There's a relaxation file available, a video of a relaxation available on the Facebook page that you can just click into after this and enjoy a little bit of time out. Or maybe just take a walk or do something for yourself, listen to an audio book, whatever it might be. But just take a bit of time for yourself today. Look after yourself and have a great day. Bye-bye.